Hey guys! So you may have heard over the past few days that Tyson Foods, Tyson Chicken, and a bunch of other stuff as well, that they have invested some amount of money, we don't know how much, in Beyond Meat. Invested for a 5% stake in Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat, I've done a few taste tests of their stuff. They have the Beyond Chicken and the Beyond Meat crumbles, and now their new Beyond Burger. Speaking of the Beyond Burger, which is the one that it's only in a few stores, I think only in some Whole Foods right now, but it's supposed to like bleed like a real burger and like ooze fat and stuff as you cook it. And it looks like, when you see the packaging, I mean, it looks like ground beef. Apparently Whole Foods, even in the stores that they stock it in, they actually stock it next to the meat products, like next to the meat case, which is a pretty big deal. But speaking of the Beyond Burger, Monica McGurk, Senior Vice President in charge of strategy and new ventures at Tyson Chicken, she says, "The quality of the Beyond Burger is amazing. We think it is a game-changing product that gives us exposure to this fast-growing part of the food business." Another really, really great quote. Actually, the whole thing is great. It's at beyondmeat.com, written by their CEO. "Do I think Tyson and its executives are the enemy because they have a radically different view of our relationship to animals? I don't. I realize that this may disappoint many people. In fact, I've found the Tyson executives with whom I've interacted to be principled and constructive people. It is true, their beliefs don't comport with mine on animals, yet neither do those of my broader family, the vast majority of my friends, colleagues, neighbors, and many others I greatly respect, all of whom eat animal-based meat. The good news is that Tyson and I can, and do, agree on many other things, including the need for sustainable protein for a growing global population, that innovation can fuel growth and profit, and that business best serves the consumer by offering choice." So this is great. I think this is just a great sign. It's a sign that companies, or at least Tyson, is taking vegan alternatives, vegan, protein, vegan meat alternatives seriously. It's much like when White Wave bought out So Delicious in 2014, acquired So Delicious, and Silk before that. Again, the sign that companies are taking non-dairy milks seriously. Some vegans don't agree. I don't know why I was surprised by this, but I was, and yeah, it's pretty silly. So yeah, some vegans, they're not happy with this because Tyson is obviously a non-vegan company, and so are now boycotting Beyond Meat. And on a personal level, like, whatever, do whatever you want, I guess. It's kind of like the cafe gratitude thing, like I talked about in that video, boycotting cafe gratitude. Although I can understand that one on a personal level, like why people would do that. I don't really understand this. I think this is a really good thing, but whatever, if you want to do that, fine. The issue for me is broadcasting it, because I think, just like with the cafe gratitude thing, even more so, it just makes vegans look stupid and irrational. And to be fair, it is stupid and irrational, I think. If we're looking at the definition of veganism, to seek to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, cruelty to and exploitation of animals. I know I've said this a lot lately, but, in this case, avoiding and actually calling for a boycott of a vegan company selling a vegan product because a non-vegan company has a tiny stake in that vegan company. Like, that has nothing to do with practicability. It has nothing to do with veganism at all. And to say that it is now not vegan to buy Beyond Meat, it's just very silly. It's also very inconsistent. I talked about this in the Daya boycott video from a while back, probably over a year ago now. If you can't buy Beyond Meat now because Tyson has a tiny little stake in the company, well, what about parent companies? Again, I talked about, Silk and So Delicious. They are owned by White Wave, which also sells Horizon milk, organic dairy milk from cows. Gardein was bought out by Pinnacle Foods in 2014. Pinnacle they also own Earth Balance. They also own the Hungry Man frozen dinners and a bunch of other non-vegan stuff. So you can't buy any of that either. What about supermarkets and grocery stores in general? I mean, going to Kroger, they sell and make money selling a lot of non-vegan products, obviously, meat and, non-cruelty free cosmetics or whatever else. And then, okay, so your options are what? Farmers markets, I guess, and farmers. Really? Because unless you are absolutely sure that that farmer is vegan, you may be buying cantaloupe from a farmer who is then going to use that money to buy a burger from McDonald's. So, yeah, unless you are, I guess, buying exclusively from farmers who you know are vegan or just growing everything yourself, pretty inconsistent. So ultimately, this is a matter of pragmatism versus purity, something I talk about a lot. Do we care about reducing animal suffering, or do we care about being the purest, highest ranking vegan that we can be? If it's the former that we care about, then we should support companies that are doing their best to make delicious vegan foods and to make these foods more accessible, like Beyond Meat. I'm not saying that we have to go out of our way to buy Beyond Meat, but we certainly shouldn't be telling people not to, or telling people that these foods are not vegan. So finally, I just want to end talking about the whole parent company situation a little bit more. I think it's really important because people just bring it up a lot. And again, I think it's really silly. I kind of went through the inconsistencies with that line of thinking. But also I just found it really interesting when I was looking up like when, White Wave bought So Delicious and whatnot, and seeing responses from people, because this was a couple years ago, and seeing responses from vegans saying like, oh man, that, I'm not going to be, I love this product and I'm not going to be able to buy it anymore because it's going to change. They're going to change the product. It's not going to be as good, or some people even like it's not going to be vegan anymore or something like that. And it's just really interesting to go back and read that and to see where like So Delicious is today, or Gardein, and how much these lines have grown. Like Gardein, they just put out their kind of like Hot Pockets little thing. I forgot what they call them, something pockets, but they just put those out like a month or so ago. And, the So Delicious line, they put out their new cashew frozen dessert ice cream stuff like last year or the year before. And there's so many different options. And I don't know, I just find that funny when people make that kind of claim. I don't know if people have been claiming that with Beyond Meat, which is really funny considering Tyson has like no say in the company at all. We're not dealing with like a parent company situation here, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone was like, oh man, Beyond Meat's gonna change now. It's like, when has that ever happened? The other reason I want to bring this up, a very specific example that I just saw recently, the Vegan Cheetah did a video where he just briefly in part of the video was chastising, I believe it was Stella Rae, who is a vegan YouTuber, chastising her for promoting Gillette razors and basically calling her a hypocrite because I guess Gillette, whatever the parent company is, also either produces, some products that are tested on animals or whatever it is. And again, I already talked about the inconsistency with that whole thing, but also like, how insane does that look to the outside world? Like, really, vegans can't use razors now? I mean, it's really hard to like wrap your mind around that. I think as a vegan, for me, it's really annoying and frustrating. And I think for someone who's not vegan, it's just like, wow, you guys are fucking crazy. That's just, I don't understand what veganism is at all when you're saying razors are not vegan. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or questions, leave those down below. If you want to subscribe. And I will have a new video very soon.